Hello guys! Today we are going to take a closer look at one of the most interesting control style hero combination in State of Survival, Robin, Rasetsu and Finn. These three heroes have very strong synergy because their skills are not working separately. Instead, they create a chain of poison, bleed, entanglement, sin, skill attacks, damage reduction and finally silence. So in this guide I will explain how their skills work together, why this combination can be powerful and what you should expect when using them in longer PvP battles. Let's start with Finn, because he's one of the main heroes responsible for setting up this combination. Finn has two very important effects, poison and bleed. His Abyssal Skewer activates every 4 turns. Finn fires a heavy harpoon that deals 250% damage to enemy front row and applies 5 stacks of bleed for 4 turns. Each bleed stack deals 16% damage per turn. This means that target can immediately receive 5 bleed stacks, creating a strong damage over time effect. And this is important for Robin. Robin's Blood Stand activates every 2 turns and attacks the enemy squad with the most bleed stacks. The basic damage is 142.5% and the damage increases by 5% for every bleed stack on the target, up to 8 stacks. So Finn's bleed directly improves Robin's blood stand, and this creates a very simple interaction. Finn applies bleed and Robin uses those bleed stacks to select and damage the most heavily affected target. But Finn has another important mechanic, poison. Every 4 turns, Venom Boys creates poison traps around friendly squads. When enemy squads perform base attack, they are marked and receive 5 stacks of poison. Each poison stacks reduces the enemy's damage dealt by 7.6% and deals 16% damage per turn for 4 turns. This is already useful defensively, but Finn has another skill that makes the poison even more valuable. Every 2 turns, Marked for Depth orders all friendly control style squads to attack enemies marked by his poison traps. Each attack deals 95% damage and every poison stacks on the target increases this damage by 4%. With 5 poison stacks, the attacks reaches 114% damage. So Finn is not simply applying a damage over time effect, he is creating targets for repeated control style attacks. And this is where Robin enters the picture. Robin's Garden of Hunger activates every 4 turns, and his Convenor's Garden attacks all enemy squads, dealing 150% damage and applying 4 stacks of poison for 4 turns. Each poison stack reduces damage dealt by nearly 5% and also deals 10% damage per turn. But the most important part of this skill is the parasitic seed mechanic. Whenever a target gains another stack of poison, its seed gains 1 stack of nutrient. When the seed reaches 8 nutrient stacks, it erupts into a bloom, consuming all nutrient stacks and dealing another 150% damage. This means Finn's poison and Robin's poison are helping to fit the same overall strategy. The more poison stacks you can generate, the faster Robin can reach his bloom. And Robin has another very important mechanic, entanglement. His Grasping Earth activates whenever an enemy squad takes skill damage from a friendly control style squad. Every time this happens, Robin applies 1 stack of entanglement up to 5 stacks. Each stack increases the skill damage taken by nearly 4%. At 5 stacks, that means the enemy can take around 20% more skill damage. This is where Finn's Marked for Depth becomes especially useful. Finn orders friendly control style squad to attack the poisoned target. Those attacks are skill damage, so they can help Robin build entanglement. In other words, Finn is helping Robin charge his next layer of damage amplification. And then comes the payoff. Whenever Robin parasitic seeds bloom for the second time, His roots erupt beneath the first two enemy rows and consume all entanglement stacks. And each consumed stack deals 100% damage and silences the affected squads for 3 turns. So the combination has a clear progression. Finn applies poison and bleed. His poison trap triggers additional control style attacks. Those skill attacks help Robin build entanglement. At the same time, poison helps Robin generate nutrient stacks. Robin eventually reaches his seed bloom, and then, after the second bloom, the entanglement stacks are consumed for additional damage and, more importantly, silence. Now let's look at Rasetsu. Rasetsu adds another layer to the combination through Sin. With Leather of the Guilty, every time an enemy squad takes damage, Rasetsu applies 1 stack of Sin, up to 5 stacks. When a friendly squad deals damage to an enemy with Sin, Judgment is triggered. The additional damage is based on the target's Sin stacks, with each stack contributing 22.8% damage. At 5 Sin stacks, that represent 114% additional damage. Judgment then removes 1 Sin stack. So Rasetsu creates another cycle where enemy action eventually become additional damage against them. Her All Depths Due skill continues this idea. Every 4 turns, Rasetsu settles every depth at once, dealing damage based on the target's Sin stacks. She also applies poison stacks, which gives us another connection with Robin's strategy. And finally, Rasetsu provides an important defensive effect through Forced Confession. At the beginning of each turn, she reduces enemy damage dealt by 7.6% for 1 turn. For every friendly control style squad represent, this effect is increased by 80%. With 3 control style squads, the damage reduction can become a very significant defensive tool. Enemies with more than 3 Sin stacks are also disarmed. So Rasetsu is not just another damage dealer. She is helping the team survive while the poison, bleed, nutrient, entanglement and Sin mechanics build up. And this is the main reason why I like this combination. It is not a team that depends on one huge attack like a berserk. Instead, it is a scaling team. Finn creates poison and bleed. Robin converts poison into nutrient and uses skill damage to create entanglement. Rasetsu punishes enemy attacks through Sin and reduces their damage. Then the team reaches its payoff. Increases skill damage, repeated attacks, bloom damage, judgment damage, disarm and finally silence. The biggest weakness is also clear. This combination needs time. If you are fighting an extremely aggressive team that can destroy your squads before the stacking mechanics become active, you may not get a full value from Robin, Rasetsu and Finn. But in longer fights the synergy becomes much more dangerous. The longer the battle continues, the more opportunities you have to build poison, bleed, nutrient, entanglement and Sin stacks and convert them into additional damage and control. So if you are looking for a control style lineup that focuses on damage over time, stacking mechanics, skill damage amplification and strong crowd control, Robin, Rasetsu and Finn are definitely a combination worth testing. The key thing to remember is that you should not judge these heroes only by their individual damage numbers. Their real strength comes from how their skills interact. Finn sets up the battlefield. Robin turns those effects into a scaling battle and damage and control. Rasetsu adds punishment and survivability. Together they create a very strong control and stacking engine that becomes more dangerous as the battle continues. And this is the real synergy behind Robin, Rasetsu and Finn. If you are building this combination, focus on giving the team enough time to establish its stacks and let the skills cycle. Once the engine is running, the opponent has to deal with multiple problems at the same time. Reduces damage, poison, bleed, increases skill damage taken, judgment, Disarm and eventually Silence. And that is what makes this trio so interesting in the current control style meta. I hope this video helped you understand how this control style meta works in State of Survival in Generation 28.